Welcome to Wanderlust Worldwide, the channel where we uncover the hidden stories of our planet, the places we think we understand, and the truths that exist far beyond the surface. Today, we journey into a land that feels timeless, vast, and almost unreal, a place where the Earth itself seems to remember everything it has ever been. This is Australia, not the cities, not the beaches, but the ancient wilderness that has shaped life for tens of thousands of years. Australia is often imagined through familiar images: sunlit coastlines stretching endlessly along the sea, modern cities rising beside the water, kangaroos bounding across open plains, long roads disappearing into the horizon beneath wide blue skies. These images are real, but they are fragments, carefully framed moments that reveal very little of the deeper story. Because Australia is not simply a country, it is one of the oldest living landscapes on Earth. To understand Australia's wilderness, you must first understand time. Not time measured in decades or centuries, but time measured in geological memory. Here, time does not rush forward. It settles slowly. It erodes patiently. It layers itself into rock, sand, and silence. Some of the land beneath your feet has remained exposed for more than 3 billion years. Long before forests covered Europe, long before the first cities rose in Asia, long before humanity had language, tools, or history, Australia was already ancient, already shaped by forces older than memory itself. This is a continent formed not by violent collisions or dramatic upheaval, but by endurance, by wind that never stops blowing, by water that appears briefly and vanishes again, by fire that reshapes the land without destroying it, by survival measured not in strength, but in patience. The Australian wilderness does not overwhelm with towering mountain ranges or endless jungles. Its power is quieter, more restrained, and far more profound. At the heart of the continent lies the Outback, a vast expanse many dismiss as empty or lifeless. But this land is not empty. It is alive with stories, rhythms, and meaning that reveal themselves only to those willing to look closely. Red Earth stretches endlessly toward the horizon, glowing beneath the sun like a living surface. Ancient rock formations rise suddenly from flat plains, their shapes carved by millions of years of wind and erosion. At first glance, the landscape feels harsh and unforgiving. But spend time here, and you begin to see something else. Plants do not simply grow in the outback. They endure. Roots reach deep into the ground, searching for water hidden far below the surface. Leaves shrink, harden, or disappear altogether to conserve energy. Life here has learned to wait, to conserve, and to move only when the land allows it. Animals follow the same rhythm. Many remain hidden during the day, emerging only after sunset when the heat fades. Others retreat underground, escaping extremes that would overwhelm less resilient species. Survival here is not about domination, it is about balance and timing. At the spiritual center of this land stands Uluru, often photographed, often symbolized, but rarely understood. To the Anangu people, Uluru is not an object or a landmark. It is a living presence, a sacred place woven into creation stories that stretch back more than 60,000 years. Every curve, every mark, every shadow cast across its surface holds meaning. These stories are not written down. They are carried through song, ceremony, and memory, passed carefully from one generation to the next. This reveals one of the deepest truths of Australia's wilderness. It cannot be separated from its First Nations peoples. The land is not something to be claimed or owned. It is something to be respected, listened to, and cared for. Across the continent, Indigenous cultures developed an intimate relationship with their environment. They read the land like a living language. They understood when rains would arrive, where food would appear, and how ecosystems responded to change. Fire played a central role in this understanding. Long before modern discussions about bushfires, Indigenous Australians practiced cultural burning. These carefully timed, low-intensity fires renewed the land, encouraged fresh plant growth, and prevented the buildup of destructive fuel. In Australia, fire is not only destruction, it is renewal, it is transformation. Travel north, and the land begins to change once more. The tropical wilderness of northern Australia feels like an entirely different world. Dense rainforests spill down rugged escarpments. Rivers wind through floodplains that expand and shrink with the seasons. The air grows heavy with moisture, and life multiplies in every direction. Kakadu stands as one of the most biologically diverse regions on the continent, and one of its most culturally significant. Ancient rock art shelters lie hidden among cliffs and stone overhangs, depicting animals, spirits, and stories painted tens of thousands of years ago. These images are not remnants of a vanished past. They belong to a living culture that continues today. Crocodiles move silently through waterways older than recorded history. Birds migrate across hemispheres to feed in wetlands that exist only part of the year. The land transforms dramatically between wet and dry seasons, reminding us that nature here follows its own rhythm, not ours. Along the eastern edge of the continent, ancient forests still survive. Once stretching unbroken for thousands of kilometers, these rainforests now remain only in fragments, yet they endure. In places like the Daintree, plants that evolved millions of years ago still grow exactly where they always have. Vines twist around towering trees. Insects shimmer with unexpected color. The forest hums constantly with movement and sound. Every layer of life depends on another, forming a balance refined over unimaginable time. Just offshore lies the Great Barrier Reef. From above, it appears almost unreal, a vast living mosaic woven into the sea. Beneath the surface exists an entire universe of coral structures, shifting currents, and fragile connections. The reef is not only beautiful, it is essential. It protects coastlines from storms. It feeds communities. It supports an ecosystem so complex that scientists are still uncovering its secrets. Yet here, the vulnerability of Australia's wilderness becomes impossible to ignore. Rising ocean temperatures and human pressure threaten systems that took millennia to form. This land has survived ice ages and planetary change. Its future now depends on decisions made within a single human lifetime. In the south, the wilderness grows quieter, but no less ancient. Temperate forests stretch across Tasmania and parts of the mainland. Moss-covered trees rise like pillars in natural cathedrals. Some have stood for thousands of years, growing slowly, untouched by urgency or haste. Rivers cut through valleys shaped long before humans arrived. Morning mist lingers between branches. Silence feels almost sacred. These are places where nature does not perform or compete. It simply exists. And perhaps that is the true power of Australia's wilderness. It does not demand attention. It does not compete for admiration. It waits. Australia is often described as extreme. Extreme heat, extreme distances, extreme wildlife. But beneath that reputation lies something deeper. A land shaped by endurance rather than excess, by cooperation rather than conquest. This is a place where survival is an art, where adaptation matters more than dominance, where ancient knowledge still offers insights modern science is only beginning to understand. The wilderness of Australia is not a backdrop to human history. It is the history. It teaches patience. It teaches respect. It teaches humility. And when you stand beneath a sky so vast it feels infinite, when the wind moves across red earth or through trees older than memory, something becomes clear. This land does not belong to us. We belong to it. Australia's wilderness is not just a destination. It is a living archive of Earth's deep past, A memory written into stone, water, and sky. A reminder of what the world once was, and what it could still be. This is Australia, the ancient heart of nature,